Welcome to Entering the Darkness podcast. This is the episode where we have Giezelle Tuazon, formerly of Basilisk and also of Mike at War. Now she's currently of Mike at War. And of course, we do have our wonderful co-host here, the big bushy bearded man here, Dan. Introduce yourself here, bud.
Hey everybody, what's going on? This is Dan here. This is the Entering the Darkness podcast, and we're excited today to have Giezelle on, and I'm excited for this one.
Yes, and of course, let me introduce myself again here, as everybody knows me as DJ Nocturnus, formerly from MetalMessiahRadio.com. Entering the Darkness was originally a radio show. It is now a podcast, as you can see. Very, very great to be back. So let's go ahead and get this going here. So Giezelle, of course, I've known you for a long time here. We had worked together in a band called Basilisk before. Just tell us a little bit about what you're doing now.
Hi, yeah. So currently I'm still working in BPO here in the Philippines, and I am still currently active in my other band, Mike at War, but the vocalist currently has some issues in his throat,
Mhm.
so it actually hinders our gigs and practices because it's related to his tonsil stones and such. So, but we're still good. We're still communicating, but just not very active because of some health issues.
Oh, okay. Okay. I mean, it's good to know that you're still active doing all of this stuff. It's actually good to see you after all this time.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
haven't
good to
actually
see
seen you like in
you.
person in a while, you know,
Hmm.
and it's always a really cool thing. And I've told Dan stories about, of course, like how Basilisk started and everything like that, how we started on that little janky little porch with like those little small amps, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
all these different things. I mean, do you have any questions for Giezelle, Dan?
Oh, I got a lot of questions, so I'm not gonna try to over talk because I've been familiar with obviously Gizelle's work over in the Philippines when you were over there. Uh, Giselle, I do have a couple questions.
Hmm.
Being a female breaking out into hard rock, heavy metal music, whatever, how do you feel it's like being a female over in the Philippines, getting into this style of music or any of the styles that you've been associated with? Do you find it welcoming? Was it harder? Was it easy? Or was it a welcoming experience? How was that?
Well, that's a good question. Being a female in actually the scene itself, I actually feel very welcome because most of the musicians there are guys, and they actually take care of me like I'm their younger sister, and they treat me with respect and all those. Um, the um the thing that might not be very common, especially here in the Philippines, is when you're female and you're doing those kinds of things for those who are non-musicians. For example, my coworkers, my family, uh, they thought, why are you kind of listening to that kind of demonic stuff? Are you on drugs or something? But in the scene itself, they're very welcoming, and that's actually what I'm very thankful with the scene that I've been into. I also have
Nice.
an older brother that actually played bass in a it was, I think, death metal band before me. He was older 17 years. So there are a lot of musicians that actually knew me as well before I actually get into it.
Right
Nice.
on,
Okay.
right on. Like, yeah. And so that's, of course, I mean, so right now, so you're just kind of just working and not really doing anything musically then. You said, as you said, the singer has got a little bit of a issue with his throat right now.
Hmm.
I mean, how do
Yes.
you keep busy? Do you still practice outside of that?
Yes, I still do practice alone, not really with a band. But that's it. Sometimes I do record. We do record here at home with we're actually trying to re-record our old songs and
Hmm.
trying to upload it in Spotify because the previous recording was like made of MIDI. So we're not very good at the quality of that. So we're trying to record and use the time that he can't sing yet, and then we're trying to be busy with other stuff. And also
Hmm.
there are a lot of stuff musically that's happening.
Hmm.
Recently, one of the bands, they actually invited me to be on their music video.
Hmm.
It's a melodic melodic death metal band here in the Philippines as well. So I feel kind of not very active, but still like doing my fair share onto it.
Awesome. Yes, and I've because I've seen too that there's like the Pulp it seems to do or some production out
Mm-hmm.
there does like something like the Battle for
Mm-hmm.
Vakken. Did you guys even try to
Mm-hmm.
do that?
Yes, we did try to actually submit videos into there, but I think we're not really that heavy.
Uh
Uh yes, because like walk and pop is like very kind of under the heavy side of stuff, and my current band is not that heavy
mhm.
compared to what maybe they're looking for. But it's
Right
fine,
on.
that's normal.
Right on. Go
Now,
ahead, Will.
Giselle, over in the Philippines, how
Mhm.
would you describe the local scene with local bands? Is it like everybody's working together to book shows and have fun and put
Mhm.
on good shows for people? Is there competition? Is there any negative? Is there a lot of positive, a lot of negative? How would you describe the local scene and all the bands?
Well, it's really different on how I see it right now compared to what Colin and I were beginning Basilisk. When Colin and I were beginning, I feel, or maybe we were on the more underground part of the scene. We're much more into the heavier stuff. On that part, we feel like everyone is trying to help out and everything. But currently, after 10 years, I think maybe I just got older and maybe I got canceled for it, that I can say that um yeah, the music scene is not what I thought it was 10 years ago, or maybe Colin and I were thinking 10 years ago. There are a lot of musicians actually maybe um canceling each other. There are a lot of issues as well. And I really cannot say that everyone is helping. Maybe everyone maybe everyone you thought is your friend when you're like face to face with them, but at the back of you, they're not. There are a lot of things that's being said, and some of the people cannot just be happy with the achievements of others. Some of them trying to pull you down. So maybe I can say is music scene here in the Philippines is similar to every entertainment um music or business as well, like
So
maybe even within
very,
mainstream.
very similar to the United States, and I figured
Mhm.
it would be different because I see how
Right.
many bands are out in the Philippines and
Mhm.
Right.
what I've listened to and what I've seen. It's very much like that here in the United States. Believe it or not,
Oh,
you have people that are jealous of other local bands. They won't help
yeah.
somebody get on the bill or the ticket.
Mhm.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting. We're everybody
that's
thinks
very
that
normal too.
different countries it's different, but we're humans. It's all the same. Doesn't matter where you're from.
Entertainment industry. Yeah, yeah. Maybe we were too gullible. Maybe we were too naive back then, Colin and I, when we
Possibly.
started the band, and we were actually very optimistic to what's waiting for us, but it's not. So you're still going to be in
It's
the
not.
entertainment industry.
Hmm.
There's going to be a lot of backstabbing,
Of
and
course.
actually I've I know that there are a lot of talented musicians in the Philippines as well, but if you don't know the right people, they're not really going to give you much more of an edge compared to someone that they know.
Hmm.
I
You know what
think
I
you hit
mean?
the
Right.
nail on the head, Giselle, when you said it's the entertainment industry.
Of
Doesn't matter if
Hmm.
course.
it's local or one, any other level. If you don't know the right people,
Hmm.
Yeah.
sometimes it seems like a
Hmm.
shadow in the corner.
That's
I've
right.
seen that happening. I've seen that
But I
happening a
do.
lot here too.
I want to ask a question. Let's see if you can get a little humorous here
Interesting.
and
Yeah.
uh, and put yourself on the spot. You've played a lot of gigs in a lot of places.
Hmm. Hmm.
Tell me a story about one time you did a gig
Hmm.
where everything went wrong and it was the worst night of your life and you just had to laugh at yourself. Do you have a story that comes to mind where you were out playing somewhere? You're like, man, just everything went wrong. The transportation, the
Hmm.
load in, the load out, the performance, the
Hmm.
PA, the sound. Do you have one of those stories where you're like, man, I can't do this?
Well, yeah, plenty maybe. So maybe in the first few gigs that I've had, we're really not very comfortable being on the stage. We're very nervous when we play. So every time one of the members kind of commit a mistake, we're going to look at the member, and then the member, of course, is gonna be obvious that he did something wrong. and then we weren't like moving when I was actually looking or watching the videos we've had back then. I can actually say I'm pretty my confidence that I was still able to get to finish the show, even if that's what happened in Charge to Experience maybe. And we're going to use that. So I'm going to say, oh, I'm not gonna do this again. I'm not going to stand. I'm going to move. And if someone commits a mistake, we're not gonna make it so obvious in the audience and all
There
the
you
stuff.
go.
We
You're
will
not
learn
going to
from
have
it.
any of those Jane's Addiction moments that we just seen recently.
Oh
Oh
yes,
my God.
yes.
Mhm.
No, not.
Sorry, Perry
No.
Farrell, not.
Yeah, the Dave
I hope
Navarro,
so. Not on the stage.
Perry Farrell,
Backstage.
Dave Navarro situation. Oh man.
Yeah.
I feel like in the
For that.
Philippines, they handle bad shows way better than we ever would over here in the
True.
States, Colin.
No, I did that too. Actually, it was in with Soul Incinerator. We did a thing in the heck were we? Blaradel, I think, Bulacan. We played for this thing called Ink Fest way back in 2011, and
Mhm.
I remember like there's a certain sound. I'm very I'm a huge stickler about the way my bass sounds. I
Mhm.
think you know that, and I think everybody knows that. Dan
Yeah.
knows that. You know that.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. I have a very particular way I like my bass sounding. It didn't sound right on the stage. I'm turning around trying to do all the knobs. Sound guy sitting here telling me don't do that, don't do that. I'm sitting here screaming at him. I'm like, dude, lower the. I'm sitting here screaming at him like to like put the lows up, put the mids in the middle to scoop it. Doing all this, and it was like.
I blame Colin for 10% of my hearing loss. If I could not if my eardrums, even with earplugs in,
Mhm.
were not shaking and that itching feeling, it wasn't Colin playing. I think that's always the way it's been. I was like, man, I got earplugs in, dude, and I'm still going deaf.
I think she knows that too. I play very, very loud. You
Yeah. Yes, he does. Actually, if he's not very satisfied, he's going to bring his own amp, and the amp is very big. It's actually bigger than me. He's really gonna bring it in the gigs
Yeah.
just to
I
get
think
me.
that's a typical male thing. We're always going to try to outdo ourselves. It's not loud enough. I'm bringing the biggest thing I can find. I think you'll agree, Giselle. You've played with a bunch of
Yes.
men and possibly other women, but the men will always outdo. We're bringing the 1 4 12 cab ain't enough. I'm bringing five.
Yeah, right. It's got to be loud.
We just don't learn. No
Um,
matter how old we get, us men just don't
mm,
learn.
mm.
Mm.
So also, I'm sure that people would love to know this too. Like, so growing up, like, what exactly got you into metal? I know you've told me that before, but like, what got you really,
Mhm.
really into this, and like, what got you into like the whole, like this whole dark, macabre side of it? This really dark sort of
Mhm.
thing, this dark music that a lot of people say is satanic, even though it's just a bunch of nerdy people who are into Dungeons and Dragons. You know?
Yeah, well, actually, my father first introduced me onto the rock scene, like maybe Journey and the glam metal part of it, Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, Motley Crue. My father is to blame, but when my older brother started to notice that I've been listening to those kinds of stuff that my father introduced to me, then he was actually trying to put into me like slowly, like, oh, maybe
Mhm.
you wanted the Metallica Black album, and then when I liked it, and then maybe you oh maybe you are going to like the other albums of Metallica as well, Kill 'Em All, and then some
Mhm.
melodic death metal, and other stuff. And that's actually the start of it. And then I started
Mhm.
listening to Arch Enemy because obviously it's female fronted and all
Angela
of those gothic
Gasso, yeah.
things. Yes, the Angela Gosso time. And then the gothic thing like Lacuna Coil, and Within Temptation, and then other Swedish death metal bands, and that's pretty much it. So I find myself listening to like Obituary and Cannibal Corpse and all of those. And actually my brother and I were actually brainstorming of what to listen, and we're actually exchanging magazines. Internet was not very big that time, so we're actually
Mhm.
exchanging like the Kerrang and all of those metal magazines, and then
Mhm.
there are like some CDs included as well, and then we're trying to listen to it, and then if we like it, then we're gonna download it and then listen to it.
There you go.
We had that back in the day. We get the only lame
Mhm.
magazine we get over here is Guitar
Mhm.
World. They used to do an Ozfest one
Yes.
every year, our touring festival, and
Mhm.
they used to give a CD. You buy CDs, rest in peace. But man,
Yeah, that's. I mean, because I know out there is I know out there is Pulp or something like that because I know that yeah, Pulp they still do it I think because I had
Mhm.
Joey D's on about a week or two
Mhm.
ago here and he was
Oh.
telling me about that too. That's still there, and then
Mhm.
it was. But I mean, I know that out there, Pulp was the one thing that was bringing in the big international acts and everything, you know.
Mhm.
But that was
And they're bringing Koreans right now.
oh yeah, yep, K-pop stuff, yep.
Yeah. There's
you know, one of the things that fascinates me with world touring, when you look at the global touring cycle and how bands tour around the
Mhm.
world, I feel like the Philippines gets left
Mhm.
out so much.
Mhm.
But every national band that goes to the Philippines says it's one of the best concerts that they've ever played in their career because of the love, the passion that the people have. So it's always made me wonder, is it a promoter issue? Because it damn sure ain't the country. You're going to go where the fans are. So, and I don't think it's necessarily the Philippines, is that we're seeing it here in the States. I'm sure Colin can attest to this. You see a tour get announced here in the States and you see the tour schedule get released. They're skipping over a lot of major cities
Mhm.
because the promoters are just out of control. But I really think the Philippines is a gem that doesn't get visited enough
Mhm.
because there's a lot of love for heavy music
Mhm.
There
and
is.
all things hard rock, heavy metal, and I know the food's amazing,
Yes.
so it makes all the sense in the world to go there. So it's uh it's really strange to me that there's only one or two things that come through a year or bands that come through every couple years. How do you feel about that, Giselle? Being somebody that's a fan of this music, has it made you upset, a little frustrated, or has it motivated you even more in your career?
Well, in my age right now, I really don't have any expectations left, maybe. But when I was younger, I could have been feel a little bit disappointed. But during those time, I actually is going to support them. But right now, past few years, maybe not so much. We do have a lot of person experiences with the promoters as well, and similar thing to what I've said earlier. It's gonna be the same thing, and they are just going to to give opportunities to those people that they know, other than what's that? Other than being fair. I think I know I'm gonna get canceled to it, but who cares?
We're all canceled. It's 2024.
Yeah. Well, I don't wanna.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not giving me anything, so like why not? So and I really, with my age right now, I really don't think that I am gonna make it big in the industry. So I'm just gonna make what I like, and if they don't like it, then I don't like them too. That's
That
it.
It's all good.
that is
Yeah.
that is such an awesome attitude to have because
Mhm.
I had a buddy of mine hit me up a couple weeks ago that wasn't Colin and
Mhm.
said, "Hey, I really want to do music and get out and play a band and try to get a record deal." And I
Mhm.
laughed at him. I'm like, "That all sounds good, but I'd just be happy going up and playing some
Exactly.
music locally
Mhm.
and doing
Hmm.
my thing, man."
That was what it
Yeah,
was
that's
back there too.
do it for yourself. That's it. So you're not gonna be disappointed. Whatever happens, you still happy with what you did, with how you spend your time. That's pretty much it.
Well, that was what it was all about. I think back then too, at the time, it was
Mhm.
like it was just more that I think being in the underground at that point, it was just kind of like
Mhm.
that was everything, is what it seemed like. It
Mhm.
just seemed like it was everything because, I'd never felt that kind of a camaraderie before. You know what I mean?
And
Mhm.
And
it's
it
it's
was
it's
like,
the whole punk rock thing if you think about it. We
mhm.
don't need the establishment, we don't need the money, we don't need this. We make our own rules, we do what we want. We have our own scene, our own fans, our own crowd. So it's I think heavy music in general has always been just a punk rock thing. I don't think punk rock's ever left anything, that mentality or
No,
attitude, because
Mhm.
if people like what you do, they're gonna show up and they're gonna buy a t-shirt. Um,
Mhm.
I can't say CD anymore, but they're going to stream your stuff. They're going to show up and support. And I think that means a lot more to people than
Mhm.
becoming famous nowadays. I mean, maybe we're just the
Mhm.
status quo, but to
Hmm.
me, I'd rather have 20 people out in the crowd
Exactly.
than 100 fake people that are there to see the opener and know one song of mine. I'd rather have 20 people to know every song and buy my cheap $15 t-shirt and
There you
sticker.
go.
Mhm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
metal,
Also, the
Oh.
man.
reason. Also, the reason why we actually I really don't prefer to play on bars anymore, because in bars, Colin knows this as well. If you're in bars, there are audiences that are actually dance as well, and their girlfriends and their wives maybe, and then
Mm.
they're not really there to actually listen to you. They're just going to wait for their turn, and they don't care, but maybe after you play, then you're going to like have some exchange of words, but they're not really there for you, unlike when you play on a bigger stage, like maybe on a mall or on a bigger stage, when that is the time where actually I feel that someone is actually enjoying our music, even if they don't really know our original stuff.
Hmm.
They actually enjoys how the way we look, how the way we do it on stage, and that's how I said to myself that when we play in front of the musicians like we are, then they really don't care. They're just waiting for their turn. But if we play in malls or in bigger venues, like like the other things that we played onto, they're actually enjoying our sets. They're
Hmm.
actually singing along, and then they're actually going into us asking for pictures and getting stickers from us, and we don't see that in the scene.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
that's
mhm,
a lot over here too. I've been to we got a
mhm,
popular place up here called I'm not going to mention the name,
Hmm.
but it's a good local spot that gets nationals and stuff. And it seems like when the locals are playing open up for a national, it's just the bands, girlfriends, boyfriends,
mhm,
family
mhm,
members, and they're only there to
mhm,
support who they're there for. They're not there to support
mhm,
the scene.
Are you talking?
mhm,
But no, just every local venue. I just feel like there's this, and it's not good to hear that it's happened in other places,
Hmm.
but it's kind of reaffirming that people
mhm,
just need to support the music and the arts. Show up to
mhm,
the show. I don't care if I
Yeah.
don't know you and who I'm there to support. I, as a musician, like to show up, and I'm a nerd. I have no life when it comes to just me. I love music outside
Hmm.
of my family. So I'll show up to a show and be like, what pedal are you running on your
Hmm.
pedal board? Oh, that
mhm,
sounds great. Oh, that singer
Hmm.
sounds really awesome. I've never heard of you. Can I get a
Hmm.
sticker? You know,
mhm,
Very interesting, Dan. Hmm.
it's I like showing up and having that atmosphere, you know, that I like to nerd out over the equipment they're using and notice maybe the bass player or guitar player, singer, keyboard, drummer, whatever has a cool technique and go up and compliment them after the set that they probably played to only 30, 40 people and be like, dude, you're a killer drummer. That thing you did there, that bass thing you did, that guitar thing, the singer, it's like I like supporting that stuff because you know, I believe the way of the industry moving forward is everybody is going to be their own record label. There's not going to be a label.
mhm,
Everybody's going to be doing stuff on their own. And we have to support people that are doing this if we're going to have a future in music.
mhm.
Okay. Anyway, so obviously with the bar scenes and everything like that that were back there, so you've played some. I would imagine you probably played some pretty big stages by now, Giselle. I mean, like, what is the biggest one you've done so far?
The biggest one that I've done so far was the one with Howlers Manila. We played alongside Bamboo and Glock 9, and those are pretty big names here in the Philippines.
Hmm.
So that's the biggest I think, and we're like one of the opening acts with a battle and all of those. We didn't win, but we really enjoyed the experience, and we came to see those artists backstage, and it's really life changing.
And you were actually you guys are also on the Wish bus too. I've looked all over YouTube for that video. I can't find it.
Yes. Oh yeah, they did not release it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't released officially or professionally. They did record it, but we're lucky that we were able to like take a clip outside the bus, but the actual recording they did not. Not sure why.
Was there an audience outside of that? You guys have a pretty big audience
Yes,
outside the bus?
there are a lot of audience outside the bus.
Hmm.
There are like plenty of bands playing as well
Hmm.
with us, but some of those artists were songs were not played as well in the official channel.
Gotcha.
Connections. Speaking of connections again.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, so currently now though, I mean, like, do you still even attend like any other bar gigs or anything like that? I mean, are there any other bands that you know of now that you like still in the underground that you would still even recommend or even still like?
Yes, there are, I'm still present to some bar gigs even if I'm not really there. Well, my boyfriend has a band called the Republicats currently, so
You're gonna have
sometimes
to
I'm
share
there.
that information with us.
Mhm.
I'd like to check it
Yes,
out.
it's a punk band, and the members are originally from an Agaw Agimat band, which is pretty like old band here in the Philippines. And then they've created this Republicans, and my boyfriend currently plays bass. So sometimes I go to their gigs, but not all the time. But
Right
if I
on.
can, I did. And it's a different scene. Most of it are punks. They're like into their own bubble with the punk scene. But it's pretty good as well. It's not as I think it's not as the camaraderie is not as tight as the metal scene, but it's there.
Right
Now,
on.
Giselle, have you and your boyfriend ever dabbled in the idea of putting a band together?
Well, he sometimes played a session guitarist in my war. And we sometimes record stuff together. And then we
Mhm.
are actually planning to release it just the two of us, like maybe like what the White Stripes did, and what was the
Okay.
other band of the Isan of Emperor. I think he also has that similar thing with his wife where they just record it and just release it. We do have some plans along the way. We recorded stuff, I think, but it's not yet finished. But we're
Right
planning to
on.
release it in Spotify. Mhm.
Anything really heavy?
Yes, some of them. I actually asked him to write stuff and disregard the genre, whatever he
Hmm.
feels like writing, whatever he
Hmm.
feels like the music should be. So don't stick in the punk or in the trash scene or in the gothic. Just play everything, and then we're just going to make maybe create some concept album that all the genres are there. Whatever you feel
Hmm.
like, don't limit yourself to a single genre. But
I
Right.
it's
feel like
has it.
I feel like you're gaslighting us, Giselle. I could see a two-man project with you and your man being something like Burzum with a little Swedish flair.
Oh my God. You
Yeah,
mean
I like
Norwegian?
that.
Well,
Yes.
she said she liked a lot of the Swedish death metal, so
Oh,
I
true.
could see the Burzum
Yeah.
thing with like the Swedish melodic
Mm-hmm.
death metal
Mhm,
melodies.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yes, I like that
that's
a lot.
true.
We'll be
That's
waiting
it.
for it. Just record it for us.
Oh God. Oh God.
We will.
Jeez.
And actually
So
asking Colin to do some stuff, right? To
yeah,
like maybe create a vocals for it, or maybe some bass line or things. So
I'm totally
maybe
down.
we'll
Yeah, I'm totally down for that,
you'll
you
know it.
know.
Mm.
Oh yeah, of course. And it's like, oh my God. So it looks like, did you get some new tattoos, by the way? It looks like you get some newer ones.
Yeah, I think I have a lot since we last met. So yeah, I have
Hmm.
like a few here and a few here in my arms as well, and some at the
Woo,
back.
tattoo
But
army!
Yep. They're all good
yeah.
now. So it's just like, no, but that was actually probably one of the first things that I think I noticed when we all first got together in Basilisk there. I was like, this chick's got tattoos, man. She's way more metal than we are, man. This is so crazy. You know, I'm like,
I
she's
was the only
way
one
more.
who has tattoos back then. Yeah, he and the other member doesn't have tattoos. It's just
Mm-hmm.
me,
Back
and
then.
it's a very little one. It's still
I still
here,
have
but I did not cover it, but I just like put something over it.
hmm. I still have those pictures of all of us when we were at that like in front of like all the caskets and stuff like that. That was freaking
Mm,
Yes.
cool. That was like one of the freaking coolest things ever. I just like I don't
yeah.
even know how you pulled that off. Yeah,
Yeah, I
that
still
was
have those. It's very low quality, but I remember us being very nervous, I think,
Yeah,
back then. But we're really trying to make very badass face, but deep
right.
inside we're very nervous.
Yeah, it
All
was
right,
all very.
I got a question for all of us here. Give
Mhm.
Mhm.
everybody a segment to answer and explain why. Hard rock, heavy metal music. Which country, continent, whatever you want to call it, do you think had the biggest impact on you as a musician? Think about that. We've had British heavy metal, uh, Swedish heavy metal, Norwegian black metal, 80s LA glam.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different continents. So, which one to each of you guys made the biggest impact to you in becoming a musician and that inspired you? Let's start with you, Colin.
Ooh. Originally, what got me into metal? Um, at first, honestly, it was Pantera. It was like I knew the song Cemetery Gates way before I even started listening to metal. It was like we are sitting on my friend's porch. We're like 6 years old. I'd never even heard this thing before. And then I hear the opening that part, and I'd never even heard of it before. I look at my friend and I'm like, this is Pantera Cemetery Gates. And he looked over and he's like, holy crap. you know? And then ever since then I was hooked. So Pantera was one of the reasons. So I think US metal initially. And then as I got older, I started to like purchase like, Metal Maniacs magazine and stuff like that. Started knowing about like the Norwegian bands and the, different things like that. So a lot of that came from, and then a lot of the Brazilian stuff, Sepultura, Soulfly, those different guys. Well, Soulfly came
Damn
later.
Cavalier brothers.
Yeah,
Mhm.
who actually live a few miles away from me.
Yep. Yeah.
Which
What
is
about you,
crazy.
Giselle?
Well, it's really hard to actually divide it into their country of origin. I think I have a lot of bands to tell, but actually one of those bands that I actually made impact on me are those female fronted heavy bands like as I said, Arch Enemy and uh, there's also lesser known bands called Bloodshot Eye. It's a female fronted as well. And some gothic bands, Italy with Lacuna Coil, and some Swedish death metal bands like In Flames, and Norwegian as well. Norwegian black metal also has that deep impact, and so it's not really like one of those regional things. So it's like different bands as well.
All three
But
of us right now, if you would to pick one continent around the world, one country, all that stuff, what would you say influenced you to be a musician? What continent, country, city, wherever had the most impact on you in becoming a musician? What music?
Okay, so I mean, I guess I'll go first. Um, so then, for me, it's 100% Pantera originally, and it was like I said, I was sitting on my buddy Marty's. You know Marty, Dan, and
Of course.
we were about like 6, 7 years old, something like that, sitting on the front porch listening to his little Coca-Cola radio that he had. Those were cool as heck, by the way. Don't even, those were cool.
Coca-Cola
And
Radio.
yep, and it was we were listening to like the Q106, which was like the big rock station in Michigan, and in Lansing area anyway. And that song, the opening
The
like
only station in the area.
oh yeah, but then that big like that part like that. I'd never heard it before, and I look over and I'm like, hey, this is Pantera, Cemetery Gates. Ever since then, I got hooked to Pantera. Dimebag has always been a hero. You got that dime tattoo on your arm, bud. Yeah, there you go. Yep. And so it's always like, so Dime's always been a hero. Um, and Phil and all those other guys have always been like a big thing to me. Um, and then a few years later, I heard Primus, got really, really hooked to Primus, which is part of the reason why I'm a bass player. And then then of course Metallica, the Black Album I think was the first ever like really, really, really heavy album I ever heard, and then uh
You wouldn't say it
Silver
was Pantera? You'd say
Oh,
it
well,
was.
that, well, vulgar display of power, vulgar display of power is what was like, that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? When I heard vulgar display of power, that was it. I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't care what anybody else says, that's what I'm gonna do. I want to do that. You know what I mean? And then it was I think after that it was Silverchair, back in like 1994. And then got into like a lot more heavier stuff, Cannibal Corpse, certain metal, like Metal Messiah, actually Metal Messiah, Metal Maniacs magazine and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Introduced me to stuff like Burzum and like, Cradle and, freaking like Take and all those other bands, like those Norwegian black metal bands, which I was just like, which I became obsessed with. And then beyond that, so like US, Norway, all those different bands like that, all those different countries, that's where I kind of wanted to be killed by.
Okay. What about you,
For me,
Giselle?
yeah, for me, I really don't think that there is like so much of division per country or per continent. I actually first really get inspired by female-fronted bands, such as Arch Enemy, Angela Grosso Days, and then I've heard this Italian gothic metal band, Lacuna Coil, and that's good. And I've also heard this Korean, I think South Korean based gothic metal band called Criteria. And what else? There's also a lesser known band called Bloodshot Eye. That's very heavy that time. So I think that I was able, I can do it as well, but not very like not female funded. I still wanted to be like away from it. So I've heard Nightwish, and then their pianist is like the one that writes stuff, and everything's very cool. There's Children of Bodom, where the pianist is really cool and all those kinds of stuff. So it actually draws from there. There's not so much specific country. I was also influenced a lot by the Swedish melodic death metal band, and then there comes the Norwegian black metal, the OGs.
Mhm.
And that's it. That's pretty much it. And along the way, you're gonna discover a lot of these cool bands that's going to inspire you one way or another.
Nightwish. I love me some Nightwish.
They are freaking
Yeah.
wicked live, dude. They
You
are
know,
wicked live.
a, a small story into my personal life.
Oh.
Me and the wife, my
Mhm.
Billy, love her to death. Uh,
Mhm.
we both listen to the same styles of music, but I told her Nightwish. I said Tarja from Nightwish was
Mhm.
my teenage crush when I was in high school.
Who
So
You and a
every
doesn't?
thousand
time,
others, man. You and a thousand others.
so
Yeah, who doesn't?
when I put on Nightwish in the car, she's like, "Really?" And I'm like, "I love Nightwish." She's like, "I know. I'll let you slide." But I think for me, and this is showing that it doesn't matter where you grow up, is that the music will find you. Um,
Mhm.
I think the very first, I grew up in a Motown household, Motown
Mhm.
and blues and rock and roll.
Mhm.
So I grew up on all the Motown stuff because we're in Detroit Rock City, Motown. But the very first heavy stuff I heard, I think, was Seek and Destroy by Metallica. My brother
Ooh,
played it for me.
ooh,
Mhm.
And
nice.
I was like, well, what's this? And then it was uh, the whole Ride to Lightning album. And that was back in the day when people used to make mixtapes on cassettes. I know we're aging ourselves here, but that was back when you had a dual cassette recorder. So
Mhm.
my brother would always constantly bring home these mixtape cassettes and we'd put them in. So I got to hear Metallica, but I think Metallica, like a lot of people, I don't want to sound like the lame dad in the bunch, but it was Metallica. But I didn't start out with the Black Album. It was Kill 'Em All album, Ride the Lightning, and then the Black Album, and then Alice in Chains. And then
Mhm.
I got introduced to King Diamond, Merciful
Ooh,
Fate,
Mhm.
nice.
Mhm.
Slayer, Pantera.
Wow.
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I think for me, the continent that set it most off to where I was able to become a better musician was the Swedes. Everything
Oh.
over in the Swede territory. In Flames is one of my all-time favorite bands.
Yeah.
And I
Those
think they
dudes are
were that
beasts.
I think they were the first
Yeah.
heavy metal band that said
Mhm.
you can have melodic melodies and sing and incorporate screams and have melodic
Mhm.
melodies with guitars and stuff that sings to people, not only through vocals, but through instruments.
Mhm.
That really just set it off to, oh, heavy metal is a whole different game. Like, uh, we all know the albums. I don't have to tell which album to go put on. Everybody knows In Flames. And
Right.
I think after that, I got really into black metal.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Gorgoroth, Burzum, Mayhem,
Do
Demi
you remember
Borgir.
that? Do you remember that
Um,
black metal song that we wrote a few years back that Marty recorded in my house? You remember that on that little
yes,
on that
yes.
little digital recorder?
I
It was
wish we
so
still
rough.
had that.
Oh man, that was freaking fun. That was fun.
But
We
yeah,
wrote that song in like 10 minutes.
I don't think that I could really pin down a continent as being the most
Yeah.
influential to me as to becoming a musician, but I'll definitely say it was the Swedish and Finland type stuff.
There you
Mhm.
go.
'Cause I'm really into a lot of the gothic rock. I'm into melodies,
Mhm.
and I believe a
Mhm.
melody can be found in any genre or
Mhm.
style of music
Mhm.
There you
because
go.
melody is everything. If you can't sing and tap your foot or snap your finger to it or dance or whatever us hard rockers and heavy metalers do, it's not a song.
Hmm.
So I believe that those two continents, when I got older, I was like, wow, okay, they showed that you can inject that into heavy music. So, but I
Mhm.
can't necessarily pinpoint one, but I did
Mhm.
have a lot of influence from the Swedish scene,
Mhm.
um, the Finland scene, but
Mhm.
my start was the American scene.
Mhm.
There's the so Giselle. So like I
Mhm.
mean, do you have any really, really like hilarious like show stories, like things that were like totally like just that you've seen at shows that were kind of like, what the hell is that? Like what's going on, or something that's really funny that happened between you guys, or even things on stage that you notice? Mhm.
Not really with us, but maybe this was years back. I forgot I think we were playing with you guys, Soul Incinerator, if I'm not mistaken. And then one of these bands that played before us, well, we are seeing a lot of it. One of the vocalists actually tried to climb up the thing up in the light, and he's trying to do he tries to tumble in on top of that. So we're actually very scared that the lights could go down.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
but he was able to land safely. He was
Cool.
a guy, very skinny and short one, so I think he does that a lot. So when we actually talk to him or to the bands, he actually that's the first thing that he does: look at the venue and then check how or where is he going to climb up. So that's like one of their shock factor. Also,
Mhm.
one of this band that we've actually played with. Where I find it really funny is when we have like a keyboard computer, like the old computer, and then he tried to put it in his body like it was a keyboard guitar, and he's
Mhm.
trying to play it. So it's a
Oh
literal
God.
keyboard computer, but it's not a keyboard like this. It's a keyboard computer. It's really funny.
Mhm. Oh
I
yeah.
got the joke.
Yeah,
I remember that.
yeah, I can't
Remember
remember what
that.
band that was. Yeah, I can't remember what band that was, but it
Yeah,
was
yeah, I forgot that too. But I think it was somewhere in QZ in 1002 bar or something. That one
Mhm.
guy is playing the keyboard computer, and it's really funny because I got the joke, and then the other band members so thought that he was just hilarious, but I think he was witty to be able to play the keyboard, but it's a
Mhm.
keyboard computer.
Oh yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of those things, but it's like, I mean,
Spinal Tap moments.
Spinal Tap pretty much it goes up to 11.
Yeah.
It
Still loving, yeah,
Yeah.
goes up to 11.
Gosh.
yeah.
At
And
our
he
Oh
age,
was
we
like
man.
don't need it to
doing.
go up to 11. We can't afford to lose any more hearing.
And he was doing all the headbangs and all the things that his bandmates are doing. Like he's like, feel playing it with the feel, but technically he's not playing it. It's just like synchronize the moving. It's really funny.
Hmm. Oh yeah. Man.
Mhm.
So it's just like, oh my God. So here's the thing too that I've kind of just I was kind of thinking about this the whole time here. Kind of in between this, like for bands, sort of like a little battle of the bands kind of thing here. So for
Mhm.
you, Giselle, yeah, do you prefer like Sepultura or Morbid Angel? I mean, like which do you think is more
Oh,
superior?
oh, that's hard. Sepultura and Morbid Angel. Sepultura is was able to actually do a lot in terms of the metal scene. Morbid Angel, not so much, but I enjoyed listening to them a lot, especially when those very very heavy stages in my life.
Mhm.
I really like Authors of Madness. With all
Mhm.
of the album artists, they're good. But for me, just for me, Sepultura is a little more sell out into the metal scene compared to the Morbid Angel, where they
They are.
actually keep
Mhm.
more underground compared to them. So I think I prefer Morbid Angel.
Morbid Angel. There you
But
go.
I love Sepultura still, of course.
Sepultura. There you go. Yeah, I mean the Roots album was good. Chaos AD. You gotta
Yeah,
love. I gotta love all those different albums that they had. I mean, this is like the Cavalera brothers powering together.
Cavalera.
You know, which actually, as I can say, I can gladly say that Max Cavalera lives like just a few miles away from where I live. It's so
Yeah, that's
crazy.
cool.
It's just like I can't even believe it. I'm like, oh my God, just down the road here. Max
Have you
Cavalera
seen
is like
him?
I have not. No,
Oh,
I have not. But from what I'm told is that yeah, people do see him around the valley every once in a while and stuff like that.
oh,
Yeah, people do see him around
oh,
him and his kids and his
oh.
wife and everything else like that, who's known to be his manager, and
Mm.
so it's just all those different things like that. I mean, but do you ever think though that you guys might ever maybe say play even internationally at all? Mhm.
Currently, honestly, I really am not expecting that.
Mhm.
And as I've said, I'm just contented playing my music, playing my piano whenever I feel like it, listening to it.
Mhm.
I will still be a metalhead no matter what, even if I'm not a part of the scene of the entertainment industry, of the music industry. I'm still going to be a metalhead. I'm still going to be supporting bands that I like, still going to be
Mhm.
listening to them. But the dream is not there anymore. Like when we were younger, we were signed into Chrysler Records,
Yeah.
and then we expected a lot from that because they were able to like send bands in Germany, if I'm not mistaken. They
Mhm.
were able to do it in Ormuz, and we were expecting them to be one. But uh, in my age right now, I really wasn't expecting anything like that. I just wanted to play, and I wanted to play it to the people who wants to listen to watch us live. That's
Mhm.
pretty much it.
So
Yeah, I
hey,
remember that.
Ozzy Osbourne is getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame
Oh,
as a solo artist tonight.
wow. Whoa.
Does anybody, I'm sure we all do, so I shouldn't say anybody. What is your guys' thoughts on it, and what are your memories of the first time of hearing Ozzy by yourself? Also, I want to do a shout out to Jakey Lee
Hmm.
from Ozzy Osbourne's band, his true second guitar player. He was shot in Las Vegas, Nevada earlier this week while walking his dog at 6 in the morning.
Oh,
And he's
Hmm.
oh,
expected to make a full recovery, but sending prayers and God bless
Oh yeah,
Jakey Lee. Everybody knows Bark at the Moon, Ultimate Sin, and
man,
all that. So sending huge prayers out
amazing
to
album.
Jakey Lee from Badlands. Also, is his own new current band, Red Dragon Cartel. But
Mhm.
speedy recovery, Jake. But also, what are your guys' thoughts about Ozzy Osbourne and his legacy on music and hard rock and heavy metal and what he's meant to all of us?
Dude, Ozzy has become like pretty much one of the most iconic musicians ever. I mean, dude, getting to see him at Merry Mayhem at Cobo Arena in
Oh,
2001
Bobo.
was pretty much everything, dude. It was
whoa.
everything. Getting to see that, I mean, getting to know that Soil was going to open the show, Mudvayne, then Rob Zombie, which was amazing, and then Ozzy.
Wow.
I'm like, dude, I couldn't have asked for a better ticket. It was just like, oh my God, couldn't have asked for a better Christmas present. That was like so cool getting to see
Wow.
Ozzy. Like literally, he came out. Me and Marty were there, and we're up in the nosebleeds. But I'm sitting here crying as he's coming out. And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh, screaming and everything. It was so cool.
Wow.
How about you, Giselle?
Well, I'm very happy that Ozzy Osbourne is gonna be there. It's like gonna be representing a lot of musicians. and a lot of people in there. But Ozzy Osbourne is not going to be Ozzy Osbourne without the Black Sabbath. But of course, there are a lot of things that Ozzy has done in his solo career. We wouldn't know, like maybe Randy Rhoads
You're a
and a
Black
lot of
Sabbath girl.
yeah. I remember listening to Black Sabbath way before started listening to Ozzy Osbourne's solo career. But of course, very happy with him. He has done a lot of things that um in his solo career, but nothing beats the original. I think Black
Mhm.
Sabbath, all of their albums is like the prototype of most of the genres that we know of today. So nothing beats that. But regarding his solo career, I listened to it a lot as well. Some of the albums, some of the songs I still listen, and he was able to discover Randy Rhoads and Zach Wild. He discovered Zach Wild and a lot of
Mhm.
those very good musicians too.
Zach
But
Wild.
yeah, OG Black Sabbath. So nothing beats Black Sabbath.
Of course, yeah, Sabbath. I mean, if you were to watch, if you were to see, of course, Metal Lords, you notice that like Black Sabbath was pretty much prominent or dominant in that movie, where they learned it
Mhm.
with a cello of all things. That was so good, and that was very interesting. But no, I mean, for you, really, um, I mean, is metal one of those things that's always a constant in your life, or I mean, have you ever shied away from it ever? Mhm.
No, actually, I'm very proud that I can say that I listen to heavy metal a lot. Well, one look at me, and then someone who is in the right mind is going to say that I listen to rock or heavy metal, whatever they call it, because I really couldn't blame people to know the difference between rock and metal. But just me with all of my tattoos and with my hair, and this is actually my house, my room, so you can see I have this little thing here. You do see him. It's like my own version of Eddie from Iron Maiden. We have these
Mhm.
little things, and I just don't do it because it's gonna be Halloween. It's just
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
So I think I am heavy metal myself. I'm gonna die like this. Doesn't matter if I play or not. So I'm
There you
still gonna
go.
be a metalhead.
It is heavy metal is very much a lifestyle.
Yes.
Me, and the wife always say we celebrate Halloween year round.
Hmm.
Everybody's so happy and giddy. I'm happy because here in the States we can go out to the apple orchards and get apple cider and donuts and stuff. But we keep that vibe of heavy music, dark theme, culture year
Mhm.
round.
There you go.
Yeah, that's
Back
right.
on the Black Sabbath thing, I have a unique Black Sabbath story. I got to see them in Ozfest 2005, the
Wow.
Jealous.
original lineup.
Yeah. Wow.
I will never,
2005.
ever, ever forget that show. This was out, Colin knows it, the infamous Pine Knob.
Pine Knob. There you go. That's
And
all ever will be. I don't care what that DTE thing.
yeah,
Pine
well,
Knob always. I will fight people for that.
it's back to being named Pine Knob.
There we go. I was about
We
ready to
was
swing
there.
people. I was ready to swing at people. Look at
We
God.
were sitting there in the lawn.
Mhm.
We couldn't afford the pavilion seats. It was me, my dad, and my brother. And this was what I found out what went down in the lawn. So let's just say I got to a higher level. And Black Sabbath came out and they opened
Wow.
up with War Pigs. So everybody knows that
Wow.
siren that plays in the beginning of War Pigs. And it was like the whole venue lost power. There was a blackout. I couldn't see. This was before smartphones. I couldn't see 2 feet in front of me, and I was tapping my brother and my dad on a higher level. All of a sudden, purple lights come on the stage. Tony Iommi walks out with his left-handed SG, and they get into War Pigs, and it was just purple fog rolling all out everywhere. And Geezer Butler's bass was just coming right up your spine. You could feel the rumble coming up your spine, and it was, man, I'll never forget that. Man,
Mhm.
Yeah.
gives me chills just thinking about that. And Ozzy coming out, are you ready to go crazy? General Gather the band.
Yeah.
I got to see Sabbath again on their farewell tour, and then I also got to see Ozzy probably two or three times solo with Zach Wild. And if you've
Mm.
never seen Zach Wild front row playing the Les Paul with EMGs,
Uh,
shredding a solo, that's 90% of my hearing is gone because of that. But I'm happy for Ozzy. But as much as I love Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, Zach Wild, I'm a Black Sabbath guy. I mean that was, I mean, Sabbath did it all. We wouldn't
Hmm.
be
yes.
drop tuning instruments if it wasn't for Sabbath and Tony
No, of
Iommi
course,
having his
of
fingertips
course.
strong. So I am say I love Ozzy's solo stuff, but Sabbath, I mean, come on,
Had he
fairies wear
not,
boots,
had he not,
war pigs, sweet
Mm-hmm.
leaf, Iron
Mhm.
Man,
Well, had Tony not had that accident at work, we wouldn't even have heavy metal right now.
right?
Yeah,
You know,
they created
yeah.
everything, and you are both very lucky to actually be watching all of those, your heroes playing in front of you. Here in the Philippines, that happens like once a year, sometimes not, and the tickets price is gonna be very so much high. So very
Mhm.
lucky.
Well,
I only
yeah.
see them in videos and
Yeah.
DVDs and YouTube.
Well,
They're very
and that's the thing that I think that people take for it. It's a huge dishonesty to take for granted what we get over here compared to what other countries
yeah.
get. And I've been to shows here where I've heard so many people. I'm not here to see such and such. I'm just here to see this band. When I
Oh,
know
come
the
on.
Philippines or other countries, they would love to see every band that opens up, and they're going to be
Yep.
passionate, loving, and
Mhm.
supportive. And that is something that us as Americans over here in the States take for
Mhm.
granted.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's right. That's right.
And
I
We from the Philippines, we wanted to, we love to, but we don't have much chance. We only have pulp. We only have, and it happens once a year, and it's not everyone. So whomever they bring, then you need to go there because it might not happen again. I remember
right,
they invited Iron Maiden, and then COVID struck, and then it didn't happen. So yeah, it's
man.
really.
That was actually I think I went to Pulp one year. I think it was in 2012 when the last time Arch Enemy played there, and like August
Mhm.
Burns Red was there. I got to catch the entire August Burns Red set. I couldn't even believe that their guitar player. He walked out like he was just all dressed casually. He comes in like this like green and like gray shirt. He's wearing slippers on stage. You know, that was like the craziest
Wow.
thing. I was like I was like, that's very relaxed. You never see that happen. And they don't look like they don't look like a metal band at all. They just look like a bunch of dudes that it's like from a college town. And then they're up there just like jumping all over the place and throwing their guitars everywhere, you know. And
Yeah.
that was loud. That was loud. I haven't been able to hear properly since then.
Speaking
I think
of, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh.
the last pop that I actually was able to watch was the one with Cannibal Corpse, and I was with my brother before the
Mhm,
Cannibal Corpse set came in. My
mhm.
brother started to puke because he drank way too much, so I was not really able to like go in front of the stage with
Aw.
Cannibal Corpse because I need to cater with my brother. But actually, my
Mm.
boyfriend, he actually was one of the sound tech when Cradle of Filth plays in the
Ooh.
pub right here. So he was able to see Cradle of Filth do the sound check and everything, and he was able to see them in their normal wear, not with all of the extravagant costumes. It's very cool, and that was with Ginger as well. The year with Ginger,
Oh,
Cradle of
Ginger.
Filth, and
From Ukraine,
yeah,
yeah, Ginger.
They are
yeah, and some
crazy.
other those bands, and he was able to saw how they do their sound check, and then them on their normal clothes, and then my boyfriend said that the aura is still, different. It's still very cool, even if they do have their normal clothes and not their costumes. It's like embedded on their personality. I think it's very cool. But I wasn't there, just my boyfriend saying.
Speaking of, 'tis the season for October in Typo Negative.
Oh, yes.
Um, God rest his soul, Peter Still. Um, I got to see, it was probably almost 15, 16 years ago. Typo Negative played Harpo's in
Wow.
downtown Detroit on their last ever show on
Oh,
Halloween night.
Yes, and I was supposed to go
Wow.
to that, and they wouldn't let me go. I got called into work.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I think I called you.
Wow.
You called me, and I was actually on my way, and then they called and said like whoever's supposed to be the closing cashier called out,
Oh,
Oh.
and I was
man.
just like, I
Yeah, I
hate you guys
remember.
so much.
Sorry, didn't mean to open
Wow.
old wounds.
No, but I was like, man, but it was all good.
And then that's
Yeah.
gonna be the last show. Sucks ever.
Well,
That's
I
sad.
had no
But
idea it was the last show. I ended up um, connecting with Johnny Kelly, the drummer
Mm,
from Typo, years later. He's
mm,
in old hot rods and stuff like that. And I hit him up over a picture he posted on Facebook over his hot rod. And I was surprised he responded to me.
mhm.
And anyways, I asked him, I was like, man, was that really the last show at Halloween night in Detroit, Michigan? And he said, yeah, it was. And I was like, wow.
Mhm.
that was the craziest thing. You know, that
Yeah,
was
you're
actually
very lucky to
that
be there, to be
was.
a part of it.
It
Mhm.
was because they did a Halloween costume contest, and I didn't dress up. I was the lame metalhead. I'm too metal to dress up it like a giant pumpkin or anything. So I showed up in my band T-shirt, and everybody was all dressed up. I was like, I'm metal.
Oh, to
They
be young
invited
Very
again.
good.
everybody on stage in their costumes to walk by, and
Mhm.
and the bands would judge, and they took a 30-minute intermission to do all that. I'm like, man, I should have participated on it. It would have been legendary to be up on that stage, and yeah.
Oh, to be
Yeah.
young. Oh, to be very young again. You know, that was always the thing. So, have you actually been able to see any of the other bands when they came in while with Pulp, Giselle? I mean, aside from like the Pulp SummerSlam stuff, did you ever get to see Nightwish when they came through?
No, I did not. It's a shame I was not able to be there. And Nightwish and all of the other international bands that I've watched is through Pulp, Lamb of God, and Hell Yeah, the Vinnie collab. What else? Testament, I think was there as well. I was able to watch them, but that's pretty much it. And in Pulp, I was not able to actually like watch Pulp every year because I think that some of the bands are not are not that worth it to be there because it's very tiring and the mosh pit and you're just gonna be standing there. And I'm 4'11", female
Mhm.
4'11", so I need actually someone to be there with me. Most likely my
Mhm.
brother, but he's not always available. But
Mhm.
all of those bands that I've watched, I'm still gonna remember it like for the rest of my life. And I still have the copy of the video that I took with Testament and Lamb of God. The quality was very low, but every time I watch it, I still remember the feeling like watching them and they're just 8 feet away.
There you go. Oh yeah,
Mhm.
that's good job, man.
And they're having a mosh pit at my back, and I really don't care. So I'm just going to stand in my ground. So and I'm
Hmm.
4'11", so most of the people are higher than me. So I need to be
Hmm.
there, stay put, and I need to fight to not be in the mosh pit.
Hmm.
Now, since I have two two Filipino people together, let me be the odd man out. Over here in the United States, we have a lot of Thai food restaurants, Chinese food restaurants. But I've told Colin this several times. We need a Filipino hangout because not only is their food better than all those above mentioned, the culture is so much better. We could have karaoke, heavy metal, hard rock,
Oh yeah,
and
you
have
know.
the amazing Filipino food, and we need to make it happen here in the
Oh,
state.
yeah. I mean, there's some here in in
There's
Phoenix and
not
all that.
enough of it.
Yeah, there's not, but I mean, the Valley is starting
The
to grow a little bit
culture is
more
so
here.
different from all those.
It
Anytime I go
is.
to a Filipino get together, I might as well act like I'm punching into my job at work because I am not leaving for 8 hours. It is going to be
Mhm.
laughs, hugs, singing,
Mhm.
laughing, great
All night,
food,
all night.
great
Mhm.
camaraderie. Everybody's having a great time. And that is one of the things that I will, God rest your mother's soul, Gina, love her to death,
Mhm.
Mhm. Oh,
hanging out with you guys after church and stuff and
Mhm.
being around the music. I'm like, I thought I was wild back in my early 20s, partying and having a good time, but I've never had an experience like that than hanging out with Filipino people. They got me beat.
Hmm.
But
It
we need a
was
restaurant over here in the States. We need restaurants.
there's a
That
lot.
experience is something, and that's getting back to bands not coming over to the Philippines as much. The experience that the Filipino culture brings to
Mhm.
anybody that they come across is something that's very unique from any different ethnicity. You are immediately welcomed, you are loved, you are supported, and they want
Mhm.
to hear your story. And that is
Mhm.
something that I have not met from any other culture. I have, but not in this capacity. So I'm hoping we can get more consistent heavy music and music in general over to the Philippines. I think that is the way of the future. Hopefully that changes. Pulp SummerSlam is
Mhm.
an amazing event, but there needs to be more.
Actually,
Mhm.
though, to be fair, I did find out from Vernon himself that this past year's Pulp was the last one.
Oh,
Pulp SummerSlam, yeah, that's the last one. But it's because I guess not enough draw, not enough ticket sales, and all that
mhm.
stuff. But I think he's still going to bring bands over apparently. But it's just that the big festival of
Oh,
that magnitude, not anymore apparently.
yeah, but I think that's
Mm.
better because if he's like gonna bring like one band, that's I think that's better because the venue is gonna be so much better. Not like the Amaranto, and then there's gonna be people who's gonna be watching for that specific band and not just for the other bands that are included.
There you go. All right.
Mhm.
So again, we want to definitely thank you for coming on, Giselle. It's been definitely good to
Mhm.
see
Thank you.
you.
Thank
Very,
you.
very
Good to
cool.
see you.
Definitely.
My
And hey,
pleasure.
definitely. And of course, we gotta do this again sometime again. And of course,
Of
everybody
course.
here,
Mhm.
if you like the podcast, guys, go ahead and
Mhm.
subscribe. Go ahead and like this page.
Mhm.
Go ahead and do everything else here.
Of course, I
Remember to
will.
spread the oh yeah, remember to spread the word about all this. And remember, always stay metal. Peace.
Peace.